Are you ruining your sales without even realizing it? Well, there's a very good chance that you are, because thousands of print-on-demand sellers in my communities have submitted their designs to be roasted by me on this channel. And after reviewing them, I kept seeing similar mistakes that are wrecking any possibility to get sales. So today I'm going to roast and recreate 3 designs that make the most mistakes, or that are making the most mistakes, I should say. And I'm going to break down exactly what they're doing wrong, and then I'm going to show you how to fix them so that you can actually start getting the sales that you deserve from your designs. And not only will I fix them, I'm going to actually recreate them for you. I'm going to recreate brand new designs that you can have. Now, I help sellers every single day create best-selling designs in my design community. Often people disregard designs of having any importance in the print-on-demand business, but designs are the most important. There is no business without good designs. And this video will certainly make you aware of some major pitfalls that you might be making. All right, let's dive into the first design. There might not be much going on in this design, but somehow it's managed to break many cardinal sins. Okay, maybe it's not that serious, but there's a lot wrong here, so let's break it down. The first thing to consider when looking at designs is the hierarchy of a good design. Simply put, that's placement, then phrase, then graphic, and then font and color. Now, this particular design was sent without a mock-up. Let's start with the placement, as it's the most important. It's not too bad. You have negative space here, and the whole design is throwing you off balance just a little. However, they have loosely stuck to a rectangle, which honestly is a good start. Now, the next thing we need to look at is the actual phrase. Not all designs have phrases. Some are just graphics, but if you choose to use a phrase, this is something you really need to think about. Flappity paps. This is the phrase they've gone for. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I had no idea where this came from or what this meant. I found nothing on Etsy or Amazon or any other t-shirt store for that matter. So I did some Googling, which I now regret. Flappity paps appears to be a playful or informal way of referring to profunda artery perforator, PAP, flap. It's a type of breast reconstruction surgery. Yeah, that's what I Googled. Is this what the person intended when designing this Play Cat t-shirt? I really don't think so, but what do I know? All I will say is no one who knows what this is will buy this t-shirt with this plastered across the chest. Flappity paps aside, the next concern is the actual graphic. They've gone for a realistic photograph as their graphic, and this is another big no-no. Think back to the last time you saw a t-shirt that had a realistic photo on it. It's always some sort of graphic, and I don't mean a cartoon-like graphic, but there is a middle ground. For example, these 3 designs are perfect examples of cat graphics. Now, that's not to say a photograph won't work. Sometimes breaking the rules works great, but it's very rare in this case. So why limit your chances of success to rare cases versus going for what is proven to work over and over again? The next issue with this particular design is the font to graphic combo. From the submitted designs I could see, most people overlook this, but font is so important as well, and so is graphic for that matter, and pairing everything together is even more important. Everything needs to work. You wouldn't buy a car because it had really cool rims but no brakes. You need it to tick all the boxes. When trying to come up with a font, you need to think about the audience, right? The graphic, the other fonts, if you went for more than one, that is. And in this case, none of that has been done. Now, look, in terms of how to actually fix this design, it's going to be a little hard as, well, the core fundamental of this design is the phrase. and it just simply won't work. However, after doing a little bit more research, I saw that flippity flip is a phrase people use. It's like an informal phrase often used as like a farewell or like a see you later or similar to like see you on the flip side. Now, I'm not suggesting this has anything to do with cats, but I guess it's kind of cute. Now, the next thing is the actual graphic. Having a look at some of the research I did, I liked the graphic style from the Rolling Fatties design. And honestly, I also liked the layout and the font. So I've come up with this, and this ticks everything from placement to font, right? Now, I'm still not such a fan of the phrase. I don't know if this is going to work. I don't mind uploading it to my store anyway, just to see if it gets any traction. Let me know in the comments down below if you want me to do that. But you can see how the font matches the graphic, the overall playfulness of the design. It matches the full tone that we're actually going for. And, what do you think? It's up to you now. A or B? What do you prefer? Obviously, I know which one I prefer, and I hope you prefer the right one. But really, which one do you prefer? Right. Now, I'll be totally honest with you. I didn't design this. Well, at least I didn't design this by hand. One of the best ways of coming up with designs fast nowadays is leveraging AI, right? And no, this isn't an ad, although it is starting to sound like one. I probably should have worded this differently. Either way, I love designing. I love drawing, and I'm a little nervous about AI, to be honest with you. However, I have made sure to properly learn how to use it and how to be able to produce really good results really fast. Mainly because it means I can design, 10 designs in the same time it takes for me to, from what it used to take me to design one. So it's a win-win. And most of the time, I will make adjustments as well. Okay, I'm not just making AI and then uploading it. I need to make it a little bit more unique, maybe fix an area or whatever. This time, it just so happens that I didn't need to do that. It created a perfect design. Now, what I will say is just because AI exists, it doesn't mean your design is automatically good. You still need to have a good understanding of what makes a design good, what structures to follow, and how to actually ask for the right stuff. And that's literally just come from my 20 years of design experience. And having made thousands of unique designs by hand, using AI is a lot easier. Now, a great design should be like a billboard on a highway. Drivers have 3 seconds to get the message. Maybe not even 3, maybe 2 seconds to get the message. And if it takes too long to understand your design, they're just going to keep driving, right? People are just going to keep scrolling through Facebook, having not a care in the world about your design. So let's move on now to the next design. And this one had potential, however, it just missed the mark on a few points. And this is the design. RV life, living the dream, one expensive repair at a time. It's a bit of a mouthful, that is the truth. And if you ask me, it would sound a lot better if it said living the RV dream one repair at a time. It just sounds better. It certainly rolls off the tongue a little bit easier. We've removed RV life and the word expensive. Expensive is obvious. Anyone buying this shirt will know that RV repairs are expensive. It's a given. And the RV life part can easily join the sentence. And now we're saving 2 words, one of them being the longest word in the entire sentence. Now, this should help with the placement. Because, as you know, placement is the most important part. It holds everything together. And this placement here is so close, yet also so far. Living the dream could easily be arced around the sunset. The sentence at the bottom is so long, it sticks out really far past the sunset, which adds like this huge amount of negative space on either side. Another huge element holding this back from getting any sales is the font. It's a cool font, don't get me wrong, but it's completely misused. It's very, very small and hard to read. And think of the 6-foot test here, right? Will you be able to read this clearly standing 6 feet away? I don't think so. It's a very hard to read font in general, but when it's this small, it's even harder. So, now that we've discussed the phrase and the placement, let's move on to the graphic. Because, there's a lot going on. You have the retro sunset graphic, you have the mountains, you have a wrench, you have a flathead screwdriver, and you have half an RV. That's a lot of stuff. Bear in mind, you have the most descriptive phrase possible as well. So if you remove the graphic, I think people would still be able to work out what this design was saying. You don't need to take every tool out of the tool shed and slap it on this design. Now, of course, we don't want to just have the phrase, right? Clearly, Voila, which is the person who made this, wanted text and graphic. So let's redesign this with a slightly shorter phrase and a less busy, more focused graphic, a more intentional graphic, I should say. And here we go. Living the RV dream, one repair at a time. This is something that I created. The words RV dream are significantly bigger, emphasizing it's the most important part of the design, right? Which it obviously is. The colors all have the same muted pastel hue to them, and the image is really clear. You can read it from far away. The message is loud and clear, and the placement is nice. It's just a rectangle with even spacing. Definitely t-shirt worthy, in my opinion. Now, the one thing I would possibly change is the actual RV. Mainly because this one looks really lovely and it looks like it's a working RV, which kind of goes against the whole t-shirt. It would be a lot funnier if it was broken down or smoking or something like that to add to the humor. So let's give that a go. Right. Definitely looks a little bit better. Although I think it would be funnier if, the back wheel was on a jack or there was a wheel missing or something like that. And once again, I did use AI. However, this time, well, it wasn't a simple request. This was back and forth across 17 messages and then further manipulation to fully recreate this RV in Affinity Designer so that it actually looked like what I wanted it to look like, what I was actually going for. Now, we've been through a few iterations now, right? But let's compare it with the original. You can tell me what you think. Again, A or B. To me, it looks clear as day. Clear to read. The humor is there with the broken down RV. I removed the line at the bottom as, well, it really wasn't adding very much to the overall design, but it just looks so much better, right? Well, I hope you would think it looks so much better. Right, this is fun. I really like this. Okay, let's do another one. We've got a really cool one here. I saved this one for last because it's actually not so bad. Now, I see where they were going with it, right? You've done well with the phrase, you've kept it short, concise, to the point, but for some reason, you've made up for the lack of words with far too many graphics. 3 hearts, 8 paw prints, and 6 arrows, and 2 dogs. It's slightly overkill. Honestly, it's really slightly overkill. So let's start at the beginning, the placement. The placement isn't too bad. It's actually the best thing about this design. Although I would say, it's a little bit too long. Maybe it's too long, right? Like length, right? But that's a super easy fix. Just remove the heart at the top, and now it's not too long anymore. Now, we discussed the phrase already, and although this particular phrase isn't super popular, there's a lot of designs getting tons of sales with similar rescue phrasing. Right? So we'll leave the phrase as it is. However, in terms of graphics, the main font really pairs well with the dogs. So that's great. I wouldn't necessarily place them at the bottom like this, and I would probably try and go for something a little bit cuter, as the audience of this shirt would resonate with that a little bit more. The 3 hearts are overkill considering the word love is there, clear as day in red. It's almost as if Saltuk, who is the person that made this design, got trigger happy with the heart graphic and was just like click, 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 click. I would remove them all. And then the paws and the arrows, also a little bit overkill. Maybe a few paws to keep it on theme, kind of to fill the space out, but not 8. 8 is just too many. And lastly, the part of the design that has stopped it dead in its tracks. The 2 fonts. Simply put, they don't go. Matching a font to a graphic and to an audience is hard enough. But matching 2 fonts together and both to the graphic and to the audience, that's extremely difficult. And I usually don't recommend people try it unless they've had a lot of design experience or maybe a lot of sales. That's what I would recommend. You want a lot of sales or experience under your belt. Now, the same font but in red could look okay, but I'm also not such a fan of throwing in colors just for the sake of it. Now, in this case, a little bit of red would look okay as we're talking about love, and obviously red makes sense. So, how would I reimagine this design? Well, as always, I start with some research, and I found this super cute graphic of two cats. Come on, how adorable are these two cats? I redrew these two cats, but as dogs, because obviously we're talking about dogs. And the idea was there, but of course, it's a totally fresh drawing completely from scratch. Now I just need to add the phrase in with a font that goes with these dogs, but also the audience that would buy this design. It has to resonate with the audience, of course. And I've decided to go for two fonts here to show you that it is possible and it's not like fully against the rules. You just need to ensure that the two fonts pair really nicely together. And I've made sure to add a light grunge to the whole thing, and that way it all comes together really nicely. I've also opted to go for one color for both the graphic and the text, and I specifically haven't gone for white, as I think it wouldn't really fit very nicely. It will be too stark of a color, and I think a light beige tone is much more warming and friendly. So let's bring the original back and compare the two. Now I've made a very, very different design here. I've completely removed the hearts, the paws, and the arrows, and I've gotten rid of the red color as I thought it didn't look any better with it, right? However, if I was to add it back, it would look like this, and I'd make sure to keep the same pastel kind of color. Like I wouldn't go for a bright red, like a bright neon red. You don't ever want a bright neon red. It does work with this kind of pastel red, but I still prefer it with one color, and I think it'll work on more t-shirt colors if we don't actually include the red. So I really wouldn't have the red. All right, we have the 3 original versus the 3 remade. Pretty radical changes, if you ask me, across the board. And if you're looking at this thinking, all hope is lost, like you can't design like this, like Jimmy, I can't do this. You really, really can. You can build bestsellers with enough practice and the right direction. Let me know in the comments if you like this kind of video and if you want me to make more. And if you want me to roast and redesign your design in the next video, or if you just want to build designs that actually sell and stop guessing, you should really check out my design community, the Design Hub, where we're helping sellers create best-selling designs every single day. The link is down below, and we give you personalized feedback and so much more. It's a really, really awesome community. So yeah, definitely go check that community out if you're serious about your print-on-demand business and you want to start creating best-selling designs.